So on a very inclement afternoon at O'Moore Park in Portlaoise, it's time for action between Dublin and Kilkenny, the champions, and the match gets underway. Barry Kelly just throwing the ball in and letting them off, and it is Dublin who won the toss, and they've opted to play from left to right in the first half, which means they've got a breeze behind them for the opening 35 minutes. And even when retirements and injuries and form losses taken into account, I suppose very few experts have been prepared to actually go against this Kilkenny team when it comes to championship time. They've beaten so many teams by big margins, Michael, down the years.
Well, they can do that, and just noting straight away, Ryan O'Dwyer has gone to centre forward, Danny Sutcliffe gone out in the left wing, Conall Keaney is over on the right wing as Liam Sheedy predicted, and Liam Rush gone in at full forward. And
their first free is going to be taken by Paul Ryan. Paul, who's got 2 goals and 52 points in his championship career so far from 65 metres out. It's way to the right. Didn't catch it at all properly, and he is normally one of the most assured.
Yeah, Ger, just to explain maybe to the listeners at home, or to the viewers, it's an absolutely terrible evening. The rain is very, very heavy. Even watching the players in the warm-up, some of the most skillful players in the country struggling to control the ball in the drills before the game. So I think there's going to be a lot of mistakes, and it's about maybe being cool on the ball and taking your time, because it's going to be very, very difficult out there this evening.
As David Herity pucks it out for Kilkenny, and the wind is against him, and it is won here by Johnny McCaffrey, trying to lay it off here to Sutcliffe, the Trinity College student. 35 metres out, and immediately after him there was Tommy Walsh, and Tommy picks himself off the ground. This is the challenge again, which the referee blew for, and it's got to be a free in.
Yeah, if you watch it there, I think Tommy would have been better just trying to hook him. He went over the top, over the shoulder, instead of coming underneath, and the foul was given. And you'll remember in the league, Danny Sutcliffe had a great day on Tommy Walsh, and Tommy was substituted, so good start by him, Sutcliffe.
And that was a very, very high-scoring league match. So Paul Ryan once again called into action here. This is a much easier free now. So can he put Dublin in front here? Does so. First of the match. Well, he'll be pleased that he got a point on the boards. Big day for Anthony Daly and all of the backroom team and all the build-up that they've had to this. This is the match, as he was saying in his interview with Claire McNamara, this is the match they have been focusing on. They're back at the ground where, of course, they lost to Galway in the replay of the relegation match here back about 6 weeks ago now. But that's long, long forgotten. It's all about trying to measure up against the champions. TJ Reid, lovely loose style, but he hits that one away to the right-hand side. Sometimes his finishing lets him down. Centre forward, though, should suit him. That role in there where he's involved the whole time. Brian Cody urging his players on here, looking to win this year, what would be an 8th in a row in Leinster. From the puck out, Doyle going back in there again, trying to get to it. Comes out towards Owen Larkin, with a wonderful league final against Cork, man of the match. And this time it's Kilkenny who win possession. Jackie Tyrrell taking it out. Jackie was fouled, and it's going to be a free to Kilkenny.
Yeah, a nice piece of skill here by Jackie Tyrrell. You see the little flick up into his hand and using his strength to break through, and Colin Keaney holding him back.
And Paddy Hogan, the 25-year-old from Danesfort, will be the one who will take it. Breeze in his face. It's not a particularly strong breeze, but it's significant nonetheless, and the rain is lashing into the striker as well, and whatever it did, it put him off, and he didn't look at all settled there. And this is a very good young hurler. He's 25 years of age now. He's waited his chance. Conall Keaney breaking it down. Paul Ryan onto it quickly. Johnny McCaffrey the next one in, and McCaffrey striking and putting it away to the left-hand side, and the umpire eventually waves his hands and signals that that's another one gone wide by Dublin. So a couple of missed opportunities for them. Still that 1 point on the boards through the free taking of Paul Ryan.
Yeah, you can see Dublin targeting Richie Doyle. He's an under 21 player, pucking the ball down to Conall Keaney, hoping he'll use his physical strength, and Paul Ryan moved out to that ball very well.
Once again, this time it's another Paul Murphy, all-star, winner of his first All-Ireland medal in his first real season last year, the quarterback for Kilkenny. Pressure there on the Dublin half-back line. Owen Larkin trying to take it up into his hands, succeeds, ready to take off, well dispossessed by Joey Boland. Comes back there towards Conall Keaney. Down into the forwards again it goes. Paul Ryan's little shot, and he pulls it in beautifully inside the right hand post and puts it over the bar, and he's got a second, and Dublin lead by 2 points to no score.
Yeah, great tackling there, Jared, by the Dublin backs, and Paul Ryan is a very, very skillful hurler. Jackie Turtle knocked it down, the conditions again playing a part, but still a very good finish by Paul Ryan.
This was a beautiful piece of skill by Joey Boland there to dispossess Owen Larkin. Back live, TJ Reid sent in there towards Richie Power, couldn't get to it. Joey Boland's back to help out, smartly down along as far as Sutcliffe. He's been a revelation this season, played brilliantly in the league. Putting the pressure immediately here on the Kilkenny full back line. Brian Hogan slipping it outside there, and Tommy Welch, the one who eventually falls down, pressurised by Ryan O'Dwyer.
Yeah, he's under a bit of pressure here, and just the arm in, not a lot in it.
Very little.
Yeah, Tommy probably lucky there because he was put under fierce pressure by Ryan O'Dwyer.
I think he put his head down and ready to take off, but he got a free out of it. This is up here towards Henry Shefflin. Eventually Owen Larkin coming across, almost running out of space. Despairing dive to get that one, comes back to TJ Reid, hitting it from outside the 45-metre line. It's way up into the sky, and it lands beautifully over the crossbar. And it's Kilkenny's first point, and TJ Reid is the scorer. 7 minutes into the match, just got a little bit of space there, nobody closing him down, and up high and landing down beautifully. 2 points to 1. Dublin battling in the middle of the park there. Ryan O'Dwyer, number 24, on his back, being helped out over there. It's Danny Sutcliffe who gets it, tries to get away from his man Henry Shefflin. Sutcliffe takes off, Doyle's after him, trying to hook him, and he's landed an absolute beauty. What about that for a score for Dublin? Well, the Dublin fans applauding, and this is a very impressive start being made here by Danny Sutcliffe, raiding down the left-hand side from a very tight angle. He's made it 3 points to 1.
Yeah, that's a great score, Jerry. He took on the entire Kilkenny defence almost there, and he was brilliant all during the league. Apart, maybe towards the end of the league, got a little bit of maybe a match or two he wasn't up to his best, but before that he was brilliant for Dublin during the league.
What breeze there is blowing behind Dublin, remember, for the opening 35 minutes, as Joey Boland plays it down into a 2-man inside forward line. Liam Rush there, and so too is Conor McCormack. Comes back out towards the centre half back, Brian Hogan. Dublin have a player down injured at the moment. It appears to be Dublin's number 12, Conal Keaney. Referee eventually blows his whistle and indicts the cornerback, Niall Corcoran. Little word of warning as well. That's Conal Keaney, who was injured earlier on, just now receiving some attention from the physio. Well, he's had his battles with injury problems in recent times, Conal Keaney.
Well, he has, Jerry. You see that stat there, 5 Leinster senior football, and not part of the squad last year. They went and won the All-Ireland after all the great service he gave to footballers, and I know he'd made the decision to he was more naturally a hurler, maybe starting off his career, and he's seen going over awkwardly there, but hopefully he's okay, he's back on his feet.
And the free has been taken, and it was put over the bar. Henry Shefflin, first point for him since his return, so he's within 4 points now of a grand total of 500 points in championship hurling. Great to see him back.
Yeah, John, I think that breeze is picking up. The rain is dying down again now, and Dublin are playing with a very strong breeze at the moment.
A block on that as Johnny McCaffrey was trying to play it into his forward, so it's going to be a line ball to Dublin. Well, okay, the conditions are absolutely wretched, and we'd love to see a lovely summer's day here, especially as everybody was looking forward to this, but it's not as if the players aren't used to training and playing in this. After all, this is Ireland, not South Pacific.
That's it, Jaron. It's still a great contest, great passion in the game so far, and this is what Kilkenny do. They're only a point down despite the fact they've had very little to play.
O'Dwyer for Dublin, didn't get much on that one. Instead it is Brian Hogan against the breeze, playing it up there. Wind, it's Colin Fennelly, I think, is down injured as that ball is hit in towards the inside forwards, in towards Liam Rush. Back there is Paul Murphy once again. Brilliant defending on his part. Jackie Tyrrell now picking it up. Little release outside as far as the left half. Richie Doyle and Doyle bangs it down, but only as far as Joey Boland, and the referee has decided, I think, just to hold up the play in there, because there is the injury here to Colin Fennelly. Having a word with Joey Boland. And Fennelly, his brother Michael, watching this because he can't play on account of injury. Came down very, very awkwardly there. Big leap in the air. There was no real interference. Maybe there was a very light tangle of legs, but it was quite accidental.
Yeah, and I think he's become a very, very important member of the Kilkenny forward, like all the players, but I think he's a bit of extra pace that he has maybe above all the other Kilkenny forwards, and he causes trouble. When he gets that ball, he runs very direct.
McCaffrey lobs it in, waiting for it back there, and ready to hit it out once again. Jackie Tyrrell out into the middle here, as far as Cillian Buckley, former minor captain. Both teams back to 15 against 15. The injuries have been sorted out. Johnny McCaffrey needs a support player, gets it there from Niall Corcoran, right over across the line there towards Mick Carton, and the Dublin fireman fires it back, but out of play. Line ball to Kilkenny. 3 points to 2, 11 minutes gone. Well, it's been lively and very competitive so far, as we have anticipated. His team overwhelming favourites. It's 70 years since Dublin beat Kilkenny in the championship. Line ball has been rolled in quickly here, as far as Brian Hogan lashes it in. Richie Parr goes down under the challenge. Richie Hogan tries to get to it. Dublin's defenders grouping well, and eventually works smartly out of defence here. Last man up there was Tomas Brady. Ends up being a Kilkenny ball, however. Another one of the wounded from last year, being challenged there by Owen Larkin. And this line ball is going to be taken by Henry Shefflin, already a point scorer from a free. We're trying to get it back to him. Dublin's tigerish play so far is a real feature of this match, but that's Richie Doyle from Barrow Rangers. Big one in. Comes straight back out here towards Richie Hogan. Steadies himself, makes an angle for himself, and floats it beautifully over. Richie Hogan's first. And the match is tied up at 3 points apiece, and that's a very good recovery by the Cats, responding smartly to Dublin's early flow of scores. Back down the field, Paul Murphy put under pressure there. Hogan tries to come in, Ryan O'Dwyer upends him. Barry Kelly, the referee, not too far away, deciding that's a foul.
Yeah, Jaron, you can see even watching there that even before the replays are showing, the ball is down the field. Dublin really pucking the ball out. They're trying to up the game. They probably think maybe they'll have an edge on fitness. Kilkenny have been on the road a long time, but they're really upping the pace of the game. And Richie Hogan's last score, I think that's an area of his game he's really improved on, winning that 50-50 ball and a great score into the wind.
The middle of the field, Michael, is an area which I think Dublin might well have targeted today, considering there are two players in there who are not that terribly experienced in terms of championship, Cillian Buckley and Paddy Hogan. We know they're great players, but they haven't really got that vital element of experience.
No, they haven't. And Paddy Hogan has been around the panel took him a long time to get onto the panel after having a brilliant career as a minor. He was outstanding, and Cillian Buckley was a great minor a couple of years ago. So they are good hurlers, but you know, Michael Rice and Michael Fennelly, two of the best in the game, and the huge losses, particularly Fennelly. But you know, maybe the field is not as big, and it maybe later on in the year there'll be a bigger loss. So Michael Fennelly very close to being back, but they wouldn't risk him this evening.
Henry Shefflin rises for this one. He's been prominent in training, played a couple of club matches. It's remarkable the way in which he has timed his recovery each season to come back from serious injury to make it back into the championship team, having never missed a match in which Brian Cody was the manager. 57th championship appearance today. Richie Hogan has got that last score against Niall Corcoran, slipping it in towards Owen Larkin, prodded away from him well, however, and very clever play by Dublin's Stephen Heine. Into the centre. Bit of a scramble as Henry Shefflin is challenged by Mick Carton. That was into the back. And the Kilkenny fans and the crowd over there in the packed stand applauding that.
Yeah, nudge in the back. Michael Carton really should have stood off there. Henry was heading straight to the line, no danger whatsoever. And you can see there he gave a gesture to the crowd, delighted to win that ball.
Well, Dublin will be conscious that they can ill afford to give away frees, and there's going to be a change now. And David Tracy is the one who is coming in. And that's Clonal-Keeney's afternoon finished rather quickly. And that is a huge, huge shame. Henry Shefflin striking, and Henry Shefflin puts it to the left this time. Didn't quite make it. One success, one failure from 2 frees taken so far.
Yeah, and a big call by Kilkenny. He's been out all year. You know, Richie Power and Owen Larkin, 2 very, very good free takers as well. But Henry is the man usually, but very tough conditions this evening for free takers.
Ryan O'Dwyer, 20 metres in. JJ Delaney takes it down. Back out here as far as Richie Doyle, the left half backs, playing like an old veteran already. Richie Hogan balances off his stick, but couldn't quite contain it. And it's going to be a line ball for Dublin. 3 points apiece. An awful lot of people in hurling circles have had the feeling that this is the best chance that this Dublin team are likely to get of dethroning the champions. But can they actually succeed? We're looking at Shane Durkin, used to be the left half back. Johnny McCaffrey in, trying to get his stick to it. Owen Larkin's there as well for Kilkenny in the colours of James Stephens, and eventually emerging with it is TJ Reid from Ballyhale Shamrocks. Reid in a mesmerising run here. Off he goes to Richie Power. Power, Reid, goal! So typical of Kilkenny. 17 minutes gone, and TJ Reid gets his first ever championship goal. He set it up himself. Richie Power was involved, and the finish was devastating.
Jared, that's an absolutely brilliant goal. Brilliant angle by Richie Power to take the pass originally, and then unselfish across the Reid, and a great finish. But what a goal. Richie Power hasn't been on the ball, and talk about burst of speed. Just that lovely dummy there, and a great hand pass, switched hands there, and TJ Reid was never going to miss from there. Great goal by Kilkenny.
Well, that will do his confidence an immense amount of good, as the referee now calls across Killian Buckley for a foul on Ryan O'Dwyer, I think it is. No name taken that I could see, so a warning for the youngster. Killian Buckley, who is 20 years of age, plays for Dixborough. First big championship occasion for him, along with Richie Doyle. This has been the Brian Cody way, to just bring along 1 or 2 players each year. So there's nothing terribly dramatic at any stage, the way some teams start with maybe 5 or 6 championship newcomers. Here's Paul Ryan. Dublin need a response quickly, and Paul Ryan is able to provide it with his 3rd point, his 2nd pointed free. His team now behind by 3 to 4 points. Only 2 points between them.
Yeah, you'd have to say that both backlines, you know, really on top. A lot of ball coming down to Dublin forwards, but Brian Hogan in particular at centre back, JJ Delaney, a couple of good catches. They're dominating so far, and the same with the Dublin backs apart from the goal. Kilkenny beginning to win more possession. Kilkenny
have killed teams in the past with a capacity to get goals, and this time the referee gives a free for a foul there by Tomás Brady. It's on the full forward, Richie Power.
Yeah, that's the 2nd free. Tomás Brady has moved into full back, where obviously he would have played before his injury. Peter Kelly gone back into the corner after having an outstanding year last year, full back, and that's 2 frees now that Tomás Brady has given away needlessly, really.
Henry Shefflin, 1 from 2 so far from just the edge of the D, and he could hardly miss from there, and didn't. So a well taken point by Henry. This puck out's gone short, as far as Peter Kelly, who, as Michael Dagnan was saying, has gone to left corner back. That's dropped by Paul Ryan. Now he's got to try and get after it himself. Helped out here by Mick Carton, swept across over here towards Ryan again. Back once again, it comes to Stephen Heine. Great to see him back after a long injury also. Down into the corner, out by Doyle. Jackie Turrell's over there as well to try and help out. And it ends up being a line ball, and it'll be a line ball for Dublin. Linesman down there is John Sexton. And John Sexton just waiting for the player to come across to take it. That's David Tracy. He's the sub who's just come in place of Clonal-Keeney, who sadly didn't last terribly long because of an injury. cut in well. That's dangerous, very, very dangerous. Could have gone anywhere.
The little bit of luck you need sometimes.
Dublin were appealing that it was touched by a defender last. It might have been a 65. Let's have another look at this one here. Sticks up into the air.
It was indeed David Herity, the goalie, went off his hand, I think, there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely should be a 65. And umpire right beside it there didn't see it.
Well, the rain's into the eyes of the umpires. It's into the eyes of our camera personnel as well.
It's a hard evening for everybody out there.
I'm afraid so. One of those days. Broken down by Henry Shefflin. Tommy Welch onto it quickly. Up as far as Richie Hogan. Prodded on beautifully to Richie Power. Beautiful turn. Tries to get away there from his man. Got enough latitude and it hung for a moment. Well taken by the goalkeeper. All-star Gary Maguire. And the referee has noted the umpire.
I think he's going to give a free out for a nudge in the back, in fairness to Shane Durkin. He got his body between him and the ball, and there's a nudge in the back there, a little nudge.
The person doing the nudging was Richie Hogan. So Gary Maguire, one of 6 players from Ballyboden, reigning Dublin champions. Mind you, they won't be able to get 6 in a row because they were knocked out of the championship by Coola a few weeks ago. Still a mighty achievement to do 5 in a row in Dublin. Johnny McCaffrey onto it quickly from Lucan Sarsfield, and that's the kind of shot that should have been going over the bar. He had enough time, he had momentum, and he really should have slotted that over, I think. Yeah,
that's 2 great chances Johnny has had. He broke onto a ball earlier that Paul Ryan passed him. Simple chance on any day. I know there's rain out there, but that should be just flicked over the bar, and bad miss.
David Herity, Dublin-based school teacher, pucking it out for Kilkenny. Shane Durkin back in the middle of the park for Dublin. Paul Murphy going backwards, and coming out against him there was JJ Delaney, and the referee has seen there's an injury to a Kilkenny player, and I think deciding that very wisely it's important to bring treatment out immediately. It's Paul Murphy. He was pretty much flattened there. Combination of players. Liam Rush caught him as well, and JJ Delaney was also jumping. All eyes on the ball. They weren't looking at the corner back.
He took a heavy knock. Liam Rush is a big man, and as you said, going for the ball, but just ploughed into the back of him, and I'm sure he'll be okay in a minute.
He had some year last year, Paul Murphy, the young army man. Came in, Brian Cody, I remember in the match against Wexford, down in Wexford Park, about this time last year, he ended up, I think, playing wing back at one stage, then moved to corner back.
I think he started right half back that evening and went back in the corner. Brilliant year, and carried that right through the league. He's been outstanding for them.
He has. Right now it's Dublin who are trying to get possession there in their own full back line, but it's Richie Hogan out as far as TJ Reid, the goal scorer, and he puts it inside the right hand post. The umpires are quite definite that it was a point there by TJ Reid. He's got a goal and 2. A couple of Dublin defenders questioned this. Just watch it again here now. Yes, so too did Peter Kelly and the goalkeeper, but it's Kilkenny who have the lead by 1-5 to 4 points. Very important now that Dublin get the next score. Joey Boland having his hands full against TJ Reid. Down towards Ryan O'Dwyer. I haven't seen very much of him so far. I've seen Richie Doyle, however. Here he is again. Jackie Tyrrell taking it, driving it 50 metres into the wind. Taken down by Richie Hogan cleverly. 2 players after him. Niall Corcoran was one of them, and the referee says you fouled him. And the former Galway underage star Niall Corcoran concedes the free here to the impish Richie Hogan, who showed a fair bit of pace there going across for that.
You just watch his right hand, it's out, and he just leans on his back, but it is a free. Very clever play by Richie Hogan. The position again of the Kilkenny players who are going for the ball, they get their body between the ball and the man, and they make you foul them.
Henry Shefflin with 2 pointed frees so far out of 3 attempts, and this one is high and it's accurate, and it's another one for Henry and Kilkenny. So far so good. They knew that they would get a fair old battle from his team. He was wondering whether his side could measure Kilkenny today. This was the big test. Kilkenny are the yardstick. Comes back here to Stephen Heine, and Heine drives it and drives it right, and that's not what Dublin want at this stage. The confidence will begin to ooze from them. They've got 5 wides now at this stage.
Yeah, Jaron, they're also, with a wind, the tendency is always to drive the ball in long and high, and it's not working. JJ Delaney is winning everything in the air. Brian Hogan, very strong. They need to stick to their game plan, keep spreading the ball and making the Dublin defender, or the Kilkenny defenders, run and spread them out.
Richie Power from a lovely pass by Paddy Hogan from the middle of the park, and thumbs up for Hogan from Richie Power, his first point. Remember, he made the goal as well. He was involved in that after 17 minutes with TJ Reid. Went off himself this time, took it wide of Tomas Brady. Angle wasn't the easiest, but what a good score. 1-7 to 4 points. What a catch by Brian Hogan. Former captain did well there. This time it's won by Liam Rush. They need more of his presence and a bigger impact from the 22-year-old. They get it back here, and that is fired away to the right-hand side, and it's another missed chance from the middle of the park. Shane Durkin this time, the one who has missed the opportunity. Look at this here. Tremendous centre-half back play by Brian Hogan.
Great catch, and Liam Rush was pulling hard on the ball. Brilliant catch, and Tommy Walsh delayed a little bit with the delivery and was blocked down. And again, another bad wide from the middle of the field. Nearly
8.5 minutes since Dublin last scored, and they are behind, as you can see, by 1-7, 10 points to 4. And their forwards are causing problems for the Dublin backs. This time Heine. Oof. Tomas Brady needing a bit of help here because it's back with Owen Larkin. Back in towards Colin Fennelly, had an injury early on, this time gets first run on this. Lovely play inside. Richie Power, could be a second. It is a second, and Kilkenny lead the match by 2-7 to 4 points. He made one, he scored one, and there are just 27 minutes gone.
Yeah, Gerard, great teamwork again. Colin Fennelly, as I said earlier, great pace, but look at that, had the vision, looked up, and where is the marking? Great finish by Richie Power. He was the player of the league before he got injured, missed the league final. Colin Fennelly, lovely ball inside, and simple finish for a player like Richie Power.
They're just full of invention, they're full of life, and they're creating so many opportunities. This time Kelly stands firm, and Peter Kelly drives it back down the field, but they're getting nothing. The ball isn't sticking there. They're not able to beat the Kilkenny backs, who are tough and resolute. And that time JJ Delaney turned around 360 degrees before firing it out towards TJ Reid. Johnny McCaffrey there as well for Dublin. This time it's Kelly and Buckley, captained the minors against Clare in the All-Ireland final a couple of years ago. Almost kept in play, but not quite by Henry Shefflin. And the linesman across on that far side, who is Johnny Ryan of Tipperary, right on the spot.
Ger, how many times have we seen this over the years? In the first 10 minutes Dublin were well on top, and yet Kilkenny were still there 3 points to 2, and all of a sudden now they've pulled away 9 points up. But if you watch their close control, their first touch, the speed to get the ball into their hand, Owen Larkin, Richie Power, Colin Fennelly, they're down near the ground, Richie Hogan, and it's one little flick up for any young lad watching. Their left hand is down only an inch or two off the ground, and the ball is quickly into their hand, and away to go.
Well, some of the Dublin players are just having a very, very poor afternoon so far. I don't know whether or not the pressure on them coming into this was a little too great. The expectations in certain quarters had been raised by good enough performances, but at the moment they are really in difficulty, and you can see a change has been made. I think that's Niall Corcoran who's gone off. Meanwhile, Liam Rush trying to advance. Henry Shefflin's after him, slipping the little hand pass that was intended for Shane Durkin, intercepted by Killian Buckley. Tommy Walsh has it, helped out there by Brian Hogan. Great understanding all the way up there towards Colin Fennelly. Fennelly manages to keep it in. And Dublin have brought on Rory Traynor, who's number 26. And he's come on in place of Niall Corcoran. Again they advance, and this time it's Paul Murphy is saying it was shoulder to shoulder. The referee doesn't buy that, and it's got to be a free in. And Dublin's injured player is in a fair bit of distress there. It looks to be Danny Sutcliffe.
He is, Jeremy, he lost control of the ball coming in there, and he got hit very hard by Paul Murphy. I thought originally it was into the chest, but it wasn't too far off the shoulder, but he seems to be in a lot of distress.
Well, Dublin have made 2 changes already. One of them enforced, that was the injury to Kilkenny early on. And now they've just taken off their cornerback Niall Corcoran, who has been one of their mainstays over the last few years, excelled in last year's league final against Kilkenny. So that's a tactical change, and now they can ill afford to lose Sutcliffe as well. This is the shoulder. Well, that's the shoulder, but it wasn't quite flush shoulder to shoulder. Sutcliffe, I think, just turned, and Murphy might have been full of intent on getting it right. He got a yellow card instead, by the way, so that is the first of the match. And that free has been hit by Paul Ryan. So a score that Dublin required. And Paul Ryan has hit 4 points out of 5 scores for Dublin so far. And 3 of those 4, I think, were from frees. David Herrity's puck out. But 5 minutes to go to half-time. Richie Hogan coming across here, fresh air puck with one hand. Back it comes down to Stephen Heine, drives it. Hogan reaches up with the stick, takes it under control, slips the little hand pass forward, and there's always somebody anticipating and always somebody breaking. Jackie Tyrrell this time. Sutcliffe's okay, he's back there, beavering as ever, but dispossessed by Hogan. He's in everybody's face today, his work rate's incredible. That's Richie Hogan now, the younger brother of Paddy. There's another Kilkenny player down injured, I think it's Paul Murphy. Play continues, Dublin have it, it's Ryan O'Dwyer. They're looking for him to make an impact. Gets it in there beyond McCormack. Paul Ryan racing for it and stealing it brilliantly there was Richie Doyle. What a dispossession. Walsh back out here as far as Paddy Hogan. And Hogan drives it up towards his brother Richie, who comes across, takes it with the left paw and then fires it towards Dublin's goal, but it's just going to go a metre or so to the left. But the combined cohesive play of Kilkenny in all kinds of weather conditions is remarkable.
Yeah, great play there, Richie Doyle, who's been very, very good during the league. Played centre back in the under-21 team the other night that beat Wexford, and great player, and very similar in style to JJ Delaney, who's back in at full back, and what a game he's having again tonight. But Brian Hogan really at centre back for Kilkenny is the player who's really setting the tone of the game. He's been outstanding since the start.
Well, there's no stopping Kilkenny so far. Have Dublin got the answers? That's Sutcliffe. A goal will do them nicely. Not on this occasion. Herity comes out, but it's blocked by Ryan O'Dwyer. He looks at the umpire and the referee, and they both decide he got the last touch. 33 minutes in, 2 goals and 7 points to 5 points. A little bit of danger there for a moment for David Herity, but he coped really well. This is a big doubleheader we have for you tomorrow on the Sunday game. Our programme starts at 1:30. Ulster football, that's down against Monaghan, and then from Munster, it's Cork against Tipperary. As much a part of the summer as I suppose the showers on occasions and the occasional bit of sunshine as well. So hurling and football tomorrow, not to be missed. Sunday game live, starting on this station at 1:30.
Yeah, the Brian Hogan I was talking about earlier, what a run right up through the centre, and I think he'd lost control really. I think he was lucky enough to win the free there. He was given it, but he must have ran 70 yards, and Tommy Walsh had a great catch, and watch Kilkenny's little simple hand pass all the time to get themselves out of trouble.
And Shefflin from a very central position. It's mere target practice for him, but the scores mount up, and that's now 24 goals, 429 points.
I think the next one is the 500, is it, Jared?
I believe so.
What a record, you know, he's so far ahead. He took over from Eddie Kerr a couple of years ago, and probably never be, you know, will anyone else ever get anywhere close to 500 points? What a career.
Alan McCrabb has just come on for Conor McCormack, and there he is, number 20, former All-Star. David Tracy turning this way and that, slipping it towards McCrabb, and he was unlucky. He was trying to make a run, it came off his heel, came back kindly for Kilkenny, and Richie Doyle was having a storming match in there. So many stars. Colin Fennelly dragged back, fouled, and the referee might have allowed him an advantage, but deciding instead to have a word with Johnny McCaffrey. Well, it's a significant lead, 2-8 to 5 points. Henry Shefflin to take this. I'm assuming he's going to try and land it in the square, but you never know with Henry. Final minute of the opening 35. It's high, it's dropping, it's over the bar. There you go. 500 championship points scored by one of the greatest ever, Henry Shefflin. He's made it 2-9 to 5 points.
Yeah, what a way to do it. Obviously the wind is swirling out there, but caught that brilliantly from well over halfway and over the bar. Great score and great milestone to reach.
Shane Durkin. And again, the pass going astray. So many passes are going astray. The ball's been turned over so many times by Dublin in this match. Henry Shefflin battling over there. And this time the referee has blown against Mick Carton. And for not retreating, Kilkenny are going to get an even easier free because the ball is being brought forward.
Yeah, Michael Carton, he's trying to mark tight, which is fair enough, but you have to you have to be clever enough and get away for that split second and play the ball. You can't just play the man, and that's the second or third time that he's given away frees like that.
Shefflin is 5 scores from 6 frees taken so far. He's in the groove, 6 from 7.
I think you can see the confidence coming back into him. He's been out, this is his first game of this calendar year. I think he's only played 6 league matches since in the last 6 years.
It's an amazing stat, isn't it?
But hasn't missed a championship match since 1999. He's 57 game in a row, which is incredible as well.
And that's David Tracy to try and get one back, and he's done so. Number 15 didn't start the match, came on as a sub, and he has got Dublin's 6th point. It's a very disappointing tally. They had the breeze and the rain behind them for the opening 35 minutes.
Yeah, and you made a point earlier, Jared, about maybe some Dublin players not playing up to scratch, but I think to be fair to them, to their 6 backs, you're playing against an unbelievable forward line. Every one of them are just lethal on their own. They're all match winners. All of them are all stars. They're just impossible to mark, and and they're also up for the game. They want to win everything that they're playing, and it's a tribute to Brian Cody's management, the way they can go year after year and just retain that hunger.
Well, it would be useful, of course, to those 6 Dublin backs if their forwards could just manage to retain possession a little bit and threaten the Kilkenny back 6 a little more. Hasn't happened really. The ball has kept on coming back time and again into the faces of these players here, Stephen Heine and company. And so at half-time it's Kilkenny with Henry Shefflin having just scored 500 championship points, 501 in fact at this stage as he goes off. The goal scored by TJ Reid after 17 minutes, and then 10 minutes later it was Richie Power, having made the first, got the second. And here in Portlaoise it is looking very good for Kilkenny, the champions. Kilkenny 2-10, Dublin 6 points. We'll have analysis immediately after this. Thank you, Michael. Liam Rush has gone to midfield where he's partnering Johnny McCaffrey for Dublin, as you say, and as we can see now 10 points between them. And the panel making the point. Goals are needed, Michael, but it's very hard to see how you can get goals against Kilkenny.
Well, it's an uphill battle. They're playing against the wind, and I think they're playing for pride now. And Liam Rush, always goes out the field, and great start by him.
Well, he was probably hoping to advance a bit more there. It's Paddy Hogan who's been spoken to by the referee, and I think there's going to be a card. Liam Rush was on his way, but it's going to be a free instead, and a card for the midfielder. So Paddy Hogan, the 25-year-old, playing his 4th championship match today, becomes the 2nd player to get a yellow card for Kilkenny. The first was Paul Murphy.
Yeah, he's a good strong runner, and hard to see now from that angle. Maybe we cut out the camera, the replay before we saw the foul, but Paddy Hogan definitely booked.
Paul Ryan hits another one, and Paul Ryan has put this one wide. Only 3 of Dublin's 6 points have come from play. Paul Ryan has got 4 points, 3 from frees. David Herity ready to restart for Kilkenny. Driving rain again in their favour, blowing down towards the town end, and the wind supporting the champions as well, of course. Going for 8 in a row in Kilkenny, or in Leinster this year. They will be Kilkenny. Awaiting them in the final in a couple of weeks' time will be Galway. Ryan O'Dwyer has come out around the 40 here, hammered back there by Paddy Hogan for Kilkenny, trying to break it down. TJ Reid, that fell up from the hand there of Colin Fennelly to Richie Power, leaves it behind him. The pull was a bit wild, and it's going to be a free out. Have a little look at this one again here. Stick used a little bit loosely there. That was taken by Tomás Brady for Dublin. Ross O'Carroll is the new player in that you've heard about, got into full forward. Meanwhile, Owen Larkin turns, strikes it down towards Richie Hogan, somehow manages to hold on to it like a conjurer. Keeps it away there from Rory Traynor when the first half sub. That's some point. That is really quite excellent. He's got a second point, and each and every one of them has been well worth coming to see. How did he catch it? How did he hold it? And then how did he get away and strike it over the bar?
Yeah, he's great control, low centre of gravity. In the league finally came back after 2 broken ribs and a punctured lung a few weeks earlier, and had a great game. And you know, he has brilliant skill and great ball control.
Yeah, at one stage they were saying he might be out for 7 weeks, I think, at that stage, Michael, and I think he was back after 4.
Well, the first ball of that game, I was sitting in the stand just in front of it, and he ran into Sean O'Halpine and he drove him out over the line for a line ball, and he was coming back, and I said to the lads with me, I said he must be hurt after that, and he just, next thing he was 70 yards away the far side of the field, playing right half forward that day, and you know, that's the side of his game he's really developed. Bundle
of energy. There's his brother Paddy inside towards Tommy Welch, nobody near him, he can still advance, nobody into challenge, and he's put the ball wide. Won't be too pleased with that. Given plenty of room.
It was too easy for him. He had loads of time, and nearly too much time, and he said, why not have a go?
Paddy Hogan breaks it down. TJ Reid advancing as well, getting there ahead of Liam Rush. Comes out towards Joey Boland, wouldn't come up for him. Pitch is in very good condition, but so much water has fallen down here over the last 6 or 7 hours. It has made life very difficult for the players and uncomfortable for the spectators. As TJ Reid hand passes it forward, a hit and hope one there. Traynor goes down, helped out here by Stephen Heine. Slipped a little hand pass as far as Joey Boland, and in the end the other member of the half back line, Mick Carton, gets it away only as far as Richie Doyle, and diagonally across it comes towards Colin Fennelly, the CIT student, and he was held back, no question about that. Peter Kelly was holding him on the 45-metre line.
Yeah, I think if you look at the Kilkenny backs, Jared, the way they hold their position, Richie Doyle has picked up so much ball, and just in his own position, the same with Tommy Walsh on the other side. They don't get dragged up and down the field. You've seen a lot of codes, and this diagonal ball all the time now. Tommy Walsh is playing it every time he gets the ball now across to Richie Hogan, and a great ball again by Richie Doyle, and Colin Fennelly out in front of his man, and a clear foul.
So it's Henry Shefflin, now 33 years of age, standing over this one. Scored 6 points in the first half, and he just keeps on repeating his party piece. Well, so far what we've seen from Henry is shooting which is quite exemplary from frees. It's only missed 1. Still easing himself back into the general run of play, of course. That's understandable. Johnny McCaffrey, as far as Rush, former Young Player of the Year. Great feet, great pace, takes off. Where's he going to finish? Took too much. Free out.
Yeah, a little bit unlucky. Great run. He's very strong when he builds up ahead of steam, and you know, he's obviously trying very hard in the middle of the field. You're not going to walk through, but he made a great run and just overcarried in the end. You can see there he took a lot of steps.
Yeah. That's JJ Delaney down there in considerable distress. Went off in the league final with a dead leg. As that ball is hammered in, it's one back, and one back brilliantly. Out by Tomás Brady to Rush. Slipped into the middle here as far as Alan McCrabb. Out it goes as far as Ryan O'Dwyer, and Ryan O'Dwyer marks the occasion with his first point. Well, he'll remember it for the goals he got in the All-Ireland quarter-final last year against Limerick. Real tour de force that day. Dublin's first score of the second half.
Yeah, and a lovely bit of play. Great catch by Tomás Brady in his own square, and he came out, fed Alan McCrabb, and he played a low ball into space, and great score by Ryan O'Dwyer. Rory
Traynor under pressure again from Richie Hogan, but he manages to do well. Manfully gets it away, and it's slipped away from him just as he's about to clear the danger. But a line ball to Dublin will be the outcome. This is good play by Richie Hogan there, flicking it away, not prepared to give up on anything. Number 15 becomes the first line of defence in the Kilkenny motto. Well, 12,000 people are watching this, a little bit more than that, in appallingly wet conditions, and the Kilkenny fans among them certainly will be well satisfied by what they've seen, and they'll be hoping to take the short route towards not just another Leinster title, but a 2 in a row in the All-Ireland, of course, as well. The short route, as we all know, being a matter of just 4 games. Leinster semi-final, this one here. Leinster final in 2 weeks' time, I think it is. All-Ireland semi in August, and maybe an All-Ireland final, as per usual, in September. The Kilkenny way. And suddenly, Richie Power got himself in acres of space. And he's now got a goal and 2.
Yeah, and that's too easy, you know. You could stand up there and hit that ball over the bar, way too much space.
Well, the player Richie Power that everybody was concerned about in April, I think it was, when he got a serious injury, but thankfully, once it had been examined, it wasn't that serious. TJ Reid puts this one away to the right-hand side, and that is now second wide of the second half for Kilkenny, in a total of 6 in all. But overall, they have been very measured in their approach. Their play has always been strong, forceful, creative. It's exactly what you expect from the champions. Question is, Michael, can anybody seriously dint their ambitions?
Well, it's early in the year. You know, they look very good tonight again, very good in the league, but you know, the long way to go over the summer. Tips and Corks of this world, and Galway now obviously waiting at the Leinster final. They'll all fancy their chances, but you know, Michael Rice and Michael Fennelly to come back as well. They're just going to get stronger as the year goes on.
And Jackie Tyrrell here is getting stronger as this game is going on. Towards the half forwards. One back by Johnny McCaffrey again. Slipping the little hand pass here. Paul Ryan back once again to Liam Rush. Well blocked down by Jackie Tyrrell. And Tommy Welch, taking inspiration from that, fires it down along the line. Tomás Brady was hooped there as he was trying to get that ball away. And good play by Richie Power.
Yeah, and Jerry made that point a few minutes ago about the Kilkenny forwards tackling. I think they're probably underrated in that respect, you know, and also their physical conditioning. They're very, very fit, and you know, they never seem to tire at all in games. They finish as strongly as they start.
Richie Hogan looking for another one, and Richie Hogan has, sorry, not Richie, but rather Paddy Hogan puts over his first point, and that's his first point in the championship for Brian Cody's team, in front of an attendance here of 12,446. 2-14 to 7 points. Paddy Hogan again challenging. Henry Shefflin goes back. Shows no ill effects of any shoulder or leg injuries that have affected him in the past. Great ball down from Richie Doyle to another Richie Hogan. Off the post it comes, back out. Colin Fennelly unable to get to the end of that one. And it's going to be a puck out for Dublin. They are just relentless, unremitting in their approach. Absolutely tormenting Dublin. Puck out quickly taken to Johnny McCaffrey. 11 minutes into the second half. Here's McCrabb. Clever player. Diagonally across here, but there are too many Kilkenny players there. And that's taken beautifully away there. Richie Doyle helping out. Comes out towards Brian Hogan, who had a storming opening to this match. 2 Dublin defenders in difficulty. Power comes in. They've already got 2 goals. He looks for more. He's got a point instead. Richie Power, 1-3 for him. That's some return.
Yeah, and Jared, he's been a great player for Kilkenny, but in the last couple of years in particular, I think when Henry Shefflin has had such serious injuries and been out, he's really assumed the leadership of that forward line, and a brilliant free taker as well. But 1-3 after being out himself for the last couple of months with a serious injury.
Well, Liam Rush is saying that's a harsh call. He's looking across towards the linesman on this side. And now Barry Kelly's going to talk to Johnny Ryan. I think the call originally was for too many steps, and now he's changed his mind.
Yeah, judging by Barry Kelly, maybe he picked up something from the linesman on the earpiece, and that's why he stopped the game. And
it might benefit Dublin. Tracy dispossessed, initially at least. He goes after it again. Paul Murphy was the one who stopped Tracy in his tracks in that initial approach. Once again, it's going to be a line ball for Dublin, which Alan McGrath is going to take. Dublin with only 7 points so far on the scoreboard, having made 4 substitutions. Kilkenny are now about to make a change, and Kilkenny's Noel Hickey is coming in, and JJ Delaney is going off.
Yeah, great cheer for Noel Hickey, and what a sub to bring in a Leinster semi-final. One of the great full-backs, and JJ Delaney took a knock and no point risking any further injury.
And once again it is Richie Doyle. He's playing like a veteran in there. That's well caught there. Owen Larkin balances it somehow, drives it away down. Good low delivery, clever ball to the forwards. Nothing hit haphazardly. They try to measure it on every occasion. Power comes out, the running is strong. The finishing of Henry Shefflin leaves a little bit to be desired just now.
Yeah,
the second one he's missed.
Yeah, and he's obviously going to be rusty, but a great game. They're well ahead now, and they can leave him on and get plenty of hurling time into him. Great catch there by Owen Larkin, and you mentioned Richie Doyle there. He was the one who cleared that out to him. What's going to happen if Noel Hickey comes back in at full back, JJ Delaney to go back in the wing? Such a...
Well, one of them might miss the photograph, but apart from that, it's a 20-man game, isn't it?
I know, but none of them lads want to be on the bench.
McCrabb. Where is that going to end up? I think the breeze isn't doing him any favours, and it drags away in towards the terraces, and it's gone astray. But the way in which Kilkenny approach each attack and use every ball, a couple of more changes being made right now, and Dublin have made their final change, and that's the familiar figure of Dopsy O'Callaghan coming on, number 22, and Paul Ryan is the one who's going off. And John Tennyson, I think, might well also be about to come in. Here's Rush. Ryan O'Dwyer. Well, it's a very early stage in the match, with 20 minutes still to go for Dublin to have used all 5 substitutions. Jackie Tyrrell back there. Indestructible. That's one that favours the left half, Mick Carton. Rush now steps away from trouble. Joey Boland given the task of playing it forward to Danny Sutcliffe. Started very promisingly, needs a few scores now to get the confidence going, and in these awful weather conditions he can't quite put it over, but he's a young player. 10 wides now by Dublin. Danny Sutcliffe's only 20. Plays for St. Jude's.
He is. Whatever chance Dublin have to move the ball quicker. They're taking 2 or 3 passes there, within a very short space or a small area out in the field, and they're just allowing the Kilkenny backs to get back in place.
Well, it's a commentary, Michael, on the way things have gone for Dublin in this match. They have absolutely redrawn their team. Apart from the goalkeeper, most lines have had an alteration at this stage.
I think they're going to be very, very, very disappointed. Gerald Loughnane said it at half time, but to prepare all year, during the league, they weren't flat out. They were a bit unlucky in a few of the matches, but it was all about coming here today and beat Kilkenny, and really, it's been very disappointing. Apart from the first 5 minutes, Kilkenny just owned it, and they're really not in full flow at all, only in about second gear.
Sutcliffe playing it in, and again the referee sounding his whistle there for a free which is going to be to Kilkenny. And the referee is going to have words with Ross O'Carroll, telling him just to calm it down a wee bit.
But just look at the attitude of Noel Hickey there. He got a very, very heavy knock and straight back on his feet. Whether he's hurt or not, we don't know up here, but he wasn't going to show any sign of weakness. And it's a thing that's maybe dying out a bit in the GAA in general. You know, he just wouldn't. Just watch the knock he took here now.
Yeah, it was a frontal charge really, and the elbow was out.
But before, as we look at the replay, he was back on his feet within half a second and back in it on the edge of the square.
He's a strong farming stock. They don't wince. So in the 18th minute of the second half, more pressure on. And that's going to be a 65 as Gary Maguire forced to play it over the end line.
Yeah, Richie Power again working very, very hard, using his pace, and he forced him out for 65, and the hunger still there, you know, 14 points up. They just don't ease off.
Must remember some of these players have missed a fair bit of hurling because of injuries, so they're coming back fresh, you know.
Yeah, they're fresh and enjoying their hurling, you know, which is always the way. But a big thing I think for Kilkenny too, training down there, you know, the quality of their training matches. Look at these subs that they have, and that's a big factor.
That's Henry, that's more. Mark it down as point number 8 for the day, all of them coming from frees. Short puck out, straight to Peter Kelly. And the Lucan Sarsfield's player gives it away. Larkin advances with some purpose. He's got space, he's got latitude, and he's got a lovely shot off. Only his first point in the match, Owen Larkin, but he's been involved in so much. 5 of the 6 forwards starting have now scored, and this is the latest one. 217 to 7 points. And that's Killian Buckley finishing up his afternoon. Brian Hogan, Johnny McCaffrey, and the referee pointing in the general direction of the Kilkenny goal. McCaffrey in a hurry. That's going to drop in tantalisingly there. And once again, it's terrific play by Jackie Tyrrell, one of the stars. Dublin have been completely unable to match Kilkenny's intensity in this game. But then what's new? So many other teams have failed in that respect over the years. That was prodded on there by Ryan O'Dwyer. Got injured in the process. And the Kilkenny player who's come on, by the way, is Aidan Fogarty for Killian Brennan. More pressure on the Kilkenny back line, but it didn't really come to anything. Unable to develop any kind of attacks. At the other end, usual service, Richie Hogan and Rory Traynor. Well, they were almost moving together there. Just watch it again here as they were coming into the challenge. Traynor and Hogan almost auditioning for Strictly Come Dancing, but it didn't quite work out in the end. It ends up being a free to Kilkenny.
Yeah, another feature of the Kilkenny players, you know, Richie Hogan wouldn't be the tallest, but the way they bring the ball down with the hurl, you know, never let it into space, break onto it, great pace, and another easy free for Henry.
We mark it down in advance, do we?
Yeah.
He's got 8 so far out of a total of 217. He's now got 9. Very fine return for Henry Shefflin. He'll be delighted to get back out there with his colleagues.
An interesting job to see Aidan Fogarty coming on in the middle of the field. I think that's really more a reflection on the way that he's been playing in training. Obviously a forward, but all forwards, 6 forwards playing well, and Brian Cody's not, you know, in the habit of taking off lads usually that are playing well. Killian Buckley, only a young player, so I give him a rest and brought on Aidan Fogarty to get him a bit of hurling in the middle of the field. And
Matthew Ruth rather will be the next one in, number 23.
Yeah, another player who's had a fantastic here's Colin Fennelly now going off, who hasn't scored but has contributed, and Matthew Root had a great league, but he's going down the road maybe of a lot of other players like Richie Hogan, who've had to wait 2, 3, 4 years to get their chance. Paddy Hogan, who's been around the panel for a while, and Matthew Root on there now, he'll be eager to make an impression as well.
And you've got one or two more who have tried out in recent years but didn't quite make that breakthrough just yet.
Yeah, they don't rush them. You know, Kieran Joyce, another very good player on full-back, cornerback, he's on the bench as well.
That should be Herities. Not enough pressure on him again. Playing it sensibly out to the wings, and there's always somebody there waiting for it. This time it happens to be Paddy Hogan. Richie Power, great save! And Richie Hogan came in, and it's a double save by Gary Maguire, and he's got it again. Well, that is great goalkeeping. Something for Dublin fans here to cheer about. The performance, the heroics there of their goalkeeper in this match. Nothing he could do about the 2 goals that beat him, but he made sure that it stayed at just 2 there.
Absolutely brilliant double save, yeah. Great hand pass by Owen Larkin into Richie Power. You'll see here, shorten up the grip, great save, and look at 2 Kilkenny players coming in, and very brave. Gary Maguire down on the ball and foiled Richie Hogan, and then he gets it up and wins a free out.
I think the second save was terrific as well there. Oh, it's Herity under pressure, still being pressurised there. Ross O'Carroll again eventually forcing him out over the end line. 65 to Dublin. When the goalkeeper made a good save, that's the other goalkeeper, Gary Maguire. Would be easy enough to stay on the ground. He got up very quickly and smothered it. That's another look at it there. Brilliant second save. Partial block on this, comes out towards McCrabb. Elegantly looking around here to see just who's moving. It's McCaffrey trying to thread it outside to Dotsy O'Callaghan. Couldn't get there. Instead it's Aidan Fogarty, Taggy they call him. Good combined play. TJ Reid into the forwards. Ruth going towards it, but Matt Ruth couldn't get there. Trainer out to Henry Shefflin. Maybe one from play? Not quite.
Yeah, he'd be disappointed. He's had a couple of chances in the second half. You know, you always like, if you're a free taker, you like to get a couple of points from play as well. You know, you don't like lads saying right there for the freeze. We know Henry Shefflin isn't there for that.
Anything but. You consider the knee injuries that he has suffered that took entire winters to come back from, and then that shoulder injury and operation which was required over the winter.
I think that this injury has been one of the most frustrating for him, because he had the knees right, and you know, in the club match in the county final under, hurt the shoulder, and initially didn't think it was too bad, and then I think was devastated to be, you know, that he was going to be out for another 6 or 7 months. But he put the head down again, and you know, come back again, as you said, coming back fresh now into the championship again, which is a huge plus for Kilkenny.
Alan McCrabb striking that one and putting it over the bar. So another point for Dublin, they're 8th. But really very poor return, only 2 points in the second half. We were looking for improvement. 2 points isn't much of an improvement with virtually an hour gone. Well, it was 18 minutes since Dublin had last scored. It's a commentary on the way things have developed for them. Very, very poor return against the best we've seen. And this is one of the best, Richie Power. A really frustrating time for the markers there. Stephen Heine first of all, and then Liam Rush. No stopping Richie Power. And Henry Shefflin on for another one here. Usual flawless finish from Freeze. So a 10-point return for Henry Shefflin, and it's 2-19 to 8 points. It's been far too easy for them.
It has, Ger, and you know, it's a huge score on a bad evening, and there's still 10 minutes to go in the game. And Kilkenny just really looked to be relaxing and enjoying their hurling, they're beginning to flow.
TJ Reid down to Larkin, who's moved to the inside line. Slipping back out towards Matt Ruth. Played in last year's Leinster final. Paddy Hogan. It's the post does him a favour because it was heading outside, clipped off the upright, and obligingly went over. 2 points for Paddy Hogan.
Yeah, he's played really well, Ger. He's
worked hard.
Yeah, he's a very good striker. Takes a lot of the long range frees, and big cheer for Tommy Walsh going off.
So Tommy goes off, another one of the subs comes on. Big one across here. Dotsy O'Callaghan advancing with some menace, but 35 metres out, and then he is stymied. Runs into a roadblock, looks at the referee, gets nothing whatsoever. It's going to be a free out for Kilkenny.
Jerry, if you look at the reaction there of Jackie Tyrrell, 18 points up in the game, he shepherded him out. You think it was the first minute of the game, and he celebrated after winning the free out, and it just shows you the hunger that they have. See David Herity here, I heard a good story about him during the week that he was looking for a tracksuit off of Rackard Cody, the Kilkenny kitman, and Rackard asked him how many All-Irelands had he, and he said he had 2, and he said come back to me when you have a few more. He said I'll give you one.
Well done, Rackard. Some character. That's gone wide. Well, it's Galway up next, as we know, for Kilkenny. Leinster final, and perhaps tomorrow's match, Cork versus Tipperary. They'll be trying to avoid Kilkenny if they were to meet at a semi-final stage.
Yeah, I think so, and Galway over the last number of years have suffered a few heavy defeats to Kilkenny as well, but they played very well against Dublin in the relegation playoff, and they are playing well at the moment, but again, huge challenge for them. And Tip and Cork, obviously, they'll be trying to get a Munster championship with Waterford in the Munster final already, but they won't be thinking too much about Kilkenny at the moment. But very, very hard to go to see anyone stopping them at this early stage in the year.
Liam Rush. Here's Owen Larkin. So it stays at 220 to 8 points, and a job well done by Brian Cody. Looks forward with great relish to every one of the championships. So just 6 minutes to go now for Dublin at the end of this what has been a fair old pasting. Sutcliffe's back there, winding up to hit this diagonally across towards Dotsy O'Callaghan. Dotsy been encouraged to have a go past Jackie Tyrrell. Doesn't quite come in for him, and another one goes wide. Well, he was down with an illness over the winter and lost a lot of training time after that. Not quite as sharp as he has been in recent season, Dotsy. David Herity. Well, the game now just drawing towards its conclusion with 5 minutes to go. It'll be a very, very disappointed John McCaffrey who hits this one in. And once again, to mop it up at the back, Paul Murphy. Back down towards Matt Ruth. He'd love to score. Trainer back in there making sure that he doesn't advance any further. There was a push, and Dublin have themselves a free. They've now got to start thinking about the qualifiers, and they'll have to recover from this very, very quickly. They're not the first team to get a heavy beating from Kilkenny. It's all about how you respond. And right now they're responding by trying to get a goal, but again stopped. And again it is Jackie Tyrrell. Familiar service from left corner back for Kilkenny. McCartan. Now Liam Rush. Sutcliffe chasing. Kilkenny's number 18, Kieran Joyce there, trying to get it back. Sutcliffe strikes, and he's put it wide. Only 8 points for Dublin, 6 points they had in the first half, and their return has been very, very, very poor. So can we remind you about tomorrow's double bill, and hopefully it will be an exciting double bill. It's Ulster football semi-final down against Monaghan, and then another semi-final in Munster hurling, the old rivals Cork against Tipperary. And our programme begins at 1:30, football at 2, hurling at 4. Should be a right good afternoon's entertainment on RTE2. Kilkenny fans will watch all of that because they are comfortably on their way to the provincial decider. Dublin, flattered only to deceive, started reasonably well in the opening 5 minutes, but after that, once Kilkenny got into their flow and once they got those vital goals, they were away. And Johnny McCaffrey right now, after the referee consulted John Sexton, is going to have his name taken. Richie Power there alongside him, the number 14 for Kilkenny, and it's 2 yellow cards, Richie Power and John McCaffrey. Well, considering the awful conditions, the players have been very disciplined. It was just the pure skill and the class of Kilkenny that shone through all the way.
Yeah, we were expecting this physical encounter, the intensity, everything. It just didn't come to bear. Kilkenny, you know, they put the game away halfway through the first half, scored a couple of goals, and this man had a huge bearing on it.
It's Power, it's Henry. Oh, what a save by Gary Maguire! The second brilliant save he's made. Wonderful. Well, it's kept the crowd on their toes and still showing a great degree of interest in what is a game which has been won by Kilkenny already, hands down. But Gary Maguire with a wonderful, wonderful piece of goalkeeping. No wonder he's the all-star keeper. A lot of people have admired his skill as a goalkeeper over recent years, and once again it shone through there. Just have a look at this as it was set up brilliantly in for Shefflin, a blistering shot and a point-blank save.
That's a brilliant save, and as you say, I mentioned before the game, he's made 3 great saves in the game, and still, you know, to be so well beaten, it's very demoralising for him and for Dublin. And there's Owen Larkin just tipping over another one.
So Owen Larkin's got a second, and Kilkenny's total now increases to 221 to 8 points. Remember, they were 210 to 6 points up at half time. So 221's a good score, adding another 11 points. Dublin with just 2 added scores in the second half. That's a very, very poor return. And of Dublin's 8 points, 4 have come from play. So, Michael, you've had a thought about man of the match, and what's your choice?
Well, I think in the first half, Brian Hogan was brilliant, and Jackie Turrell, you know, when their backs were to the wall. But the player that's impressed me most is Richie Power, coming back from a long injury. Scored 1 goal in the first half, set up the other goal, been involved in everything, worked very, very hard, scored 1-3 from play and won a number of frees as well. So I think he's a worthy man of the match on an even. I suppose that really in the second half they had to go through the motions, but he just kept going to the end and had a super game.
Yeah, he's back, thankfully. Injury did not curtail his season, and he is flying. So man of the match, Michael Dagnan's choice, the wonderful player, 26-year-old from Carrickshock, Richie Power. Referee once again doing a bit of consultation with his umpires as we head into stoppage time. And another yellow card was issued there. Was it to Richie Hogan?
It was indeed.
So Richie, like his brother Paddy, and Richie Power and Paul Murphy were the ones who were yellow carded as Joey Boland goes off. Dublin, for the record, had 2 yellow cards against Johnny McCaffrey and Ross O'Carroll. Dublin are now to play with 14 for the remaining few seconds of this game. They've used up their subs. They'd used them up earlier on, and Ross O'Carroll comes in here. And the final effort is a high one. It's Dotsie O'Callaghan. And Dotsie O'Callaghan, for the record, gets his one and only score of this match. 3 points then for Dublin, scored in the second half. But a miserable return overall, and Anthony Daly will have some work to do now preparing for the qualifiers. He's well capable of doing that.
Yeah, but look, it's hard on Anthony Daly. He's put in a huge effort with Dublin over the last 4 years, and you know, to suffer a defeat like that, really, as I said earlier on, they've earmarked this game for so long, probably since last year's championship, and or since the draw was made, and you know, he'd be very, very disappointed, as will the players. It's a huge setback now for a team that's made great progress over the last number of years. But Kilkenny just going from strength to strength, as we said earlier, massive hunger within their ranks, real competition for places. Every one of them still playing as well as ever, and you know, they've sent out a message loud and clear to the rest of the country this evening.
The margin in the end for Kilkenny was 18 points, and the final score in Portlaoise reads Kilkenny 2 goals and 21 points, Dublin 9 points. Michael.